have a very positive attitude about life. I truly do represent that old saying about where you see a pile of shit, there must be a pony somewhere near. I have a very optimistic outlook on life. I had parents who encouraged me that I could be and do anything I wanted to be and do. And I still, at 82, as of Saturday, and I'm still thinking of what will I be doing next.
Hello, welcome back. This is Andreea Parc, and this is Alive Again podcast where attorneys and other professionals meet to discuss real life issues and how our decisions shaped our journeys. Our guest today is the wonderful Diane Heiler. She's the author of A Widow's Fire, an intimate memoir of heartbreak, survival, and moving on. Thank you so much for being here with us, Diane. It's such a pleasure to have you.
It's my pleasure.
After many, many technical difficulties, we are finally able to see and hear each other. I would like to make a brief note that Alexa is not with us because she's preparing for 2 major shows in September, and we cannot wait to tell everybody about what she's been working on. I would like to start by asking you, what does the name of your book mean?
Widow's Fire refers to an emotional happening that took place about 2 months after my wonderful husband passed away. After 2 years of caregiving and mourning 2 months after he died, I experienced a desire that I had not had in a long time. I have to say that I was 80 years old when he died, and certainly was not expecting to ever care to have another man in my life. I had had a wonderful marriage. We were together, we were married for 25 years and together for a total of 29 years. But after he passed, I realized that I did want another man in my life. I missed having someone to talk to, someone to have a glass of wine with at the cocktail hour, and just talk about our day, what we had done, plan trips together, plan our lives together. But there was no one there other than girlfriends and my sister and my children to talk to. That's not the same. I wanted a sexual partner to spend the rest of my life with. And I was shocked. I was totally taken by surprise that I would ever care to be in love again. So I Googled, I'm a big Googler, so I Googled what's going on with me, and I came across a few articles about this thing called widow's fire. And I learned that it happens to both men and women. It doesn't happen to everybody, but some people do experience it. I then began to ask other ladies if I was at the beauty shop and I found out that they too were widows. I would gently ask how they felt about ever being with someone again. And I found out that a lot of women do feel this emotion that comes over them and the loss of somebody they love. And it led me to research more and understand that it is both men and women, that it does happen, that it is for real, and that we shouldn't be ashamed of it. That's just part of our lives. And I thought then, I do want a partner. And he had told me that. My husband had said, you need to find someone who fits into your life for you. And he was so gentle about it, so caring about it. I realized he knew me better than I knew myself, because I kept saying, no, I don't need that. I don't want that. But I did.
That's wonderful. I knew about the emotion, but I didn't know it's called that way. And
Hmm.
that is wonderful that you actually named your book. But I know that you've been through so much in your life through divorce and raising your children and business and health issues yourself. And what do you think kept you going all these years?
I have a very positive attitude about life. I truly do represent that old saying about where you see a pile of shit, there must be a pony somewhere near. I have a very optimistic outlook on life. I had parents who encouraged me that I could be and do anything I wanted to be and do. And I still, at 82, as of Saturday, and I'm still thinking of what will I be doing next.
Happy birthday.
I never expected to write a book, that's for sure. And what fun! Here I am, an author and enjoying the fruits of my labor. But what will I be doing tomorrow? I have no idea, but I plan on living my life as fully as I can and to squeeze all the goodie out of it as I possibly can.
Yes, and definitely it's never too late to start again, and it's never too late to actually live again.
It amazes me, Andrea, when I see people who are my age and they've just given up. They have gone into a role that reflects that they are giving up they're at their end of their life. And I plan on being around as long as possible. As long as I'm healthy and mentally in a good way, I want to continue and live my life. My husband gave me the roadmap, what I needed to do. He was a very bright man, a very strong man. And he told me, keep going, keep going. You've got life out there. You can do anything you want to do it.
Definitely. You speak in your book about anticipatory grief, and I would like to ask you, how did you feel the difference between your grief before and your grief after your husband passed?
I think that anticipatory grief, which takes place before your loved one actually dies, for me, and I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself, I think it's wrapped in fear of the unknown. You can plan, you can have expectations of what life is going to be like after your loved one is gone, but there's still that fear of the unknown. I was a strong, capable woman, and I was single for 15 years before he and I ever got married. And I had my own company and ran my own business, was raising 4 children, and had a great life. I didn't really want to get married at that stage, but then I met him and things changed, and I did. And we had a great marriage. But when he got sick, at first I thought, okay, we can beat this. We'll do all the right things. I mean, we researched every possibility out there. I think when the reality set in that nothing was really going to work, and the doctor was very honest with us, he said, we can buy time, but we cannot heal him. He will not be able to make it. And he gave us 4 to 6 months. But he said, with medication and luck, possibly 20 months. And that's exactly what it turned out to be, right in that 20-month period. Somewhere along the line, I think the fear kicked in. I don't know that I realized it at the time, but I found myself just going out by myself on the patio and just falling apart. I didn't want him to think that I had lost hope. I think he knew from day one. I think that's why he pretty much turned everything over to me and said, just take care of me. And that was very unlike him because he was a man very much in control of his life and mine and did it beautifully. But at that stage in life, he concentrated on his life and what he could do for himself. But he wanted me to take care of him and turned over the doctors to me, and I was making all the decisions. But the fear of being alone, that he was going to be gone and I was in charge of the boat. And I didn't really want to be in charge of the boat by myself because I enjoyed having him steering. But reality set in, and that's when the fear really set in. And the loss, the thought of the loss was just tremendous, tremendous. Anticipatory grief. I had never heard of it until the therapist said, "This is what's going on." She said, "Not everybody goes through it." She said, "Some people, it helps when the actual death takes place, that you've already grieved for quite a while." She said, "It may help, it may not." When he did die, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Here again, I thought, well, I know I've planned, I know what to do. I'll give myself a couple of weeks and then I will get this grieving business out of the area. I don't want to deal with it. Well, let me tell you, I hit bottom, just hit bottom. And did I ever get over it? No, it's been over 2 years now, 2.5 years. And grief just stays with you. You just learn to cope with it and know that it's there. I won't say it's a friendly part of your life, but it's an acknowledged part of my life that I know that I deal with. And as I've said many times, caregiving him for 2 years was not fun. It cannot possibly be fun, but I was exactly where I wanted to be, the man I love, to take care of him as gracefully as I possibly could. And I think I did. We had a good marriage and it ended well.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, how did you cope with everything, with the news of his sickness, with steering the boat? What was your day-to-day coping mechanism?
I'm a writer. I have always written poems, little tidbits, diary. I've always daily written goals. And I probably didn't even realize how much of an aid it was for me until after the fact, when someone said, "I think you need to write a book." And I realized I had everything already written down. All I had to do was get it arranged properly because I had months and months and months and years of poems. I had years of journaling. It was a matter of putting it all together and then working with a wonderful editor, Greg Lawrence, in New York City, and putting it all into a book. But I think that's how I coped, was by writing. And then when he died, I could not get over the poetry that just absolutely enveloped my mind and just poured out every pore in my body, writing poetry all day long. I really did shutter myself in my home in the mountains and wanted to be alone. I love my children dearly and they were wonderful. They wanted to be with me and take care of me. And yet I said, this is something I have to do by myself. And I just, for 2 months, said, I want to be alone. But I wrote constantly, all day long. I wrote. And it was very cathartic for me. And it helped me write a book. But I think that's how I coped. Everybody's different. A lot of people need to get out and be with other people. I could not do that. My children even said, "Mom, we feel like we need to be with you. And it's okay to cry." And I said, "But I can't do it that way. I can't cry in front of my children. I need to be alone to do it." Whether it's healthy or not, I don't know. That's how I did it.
We all function differently. And how did you feel when your book was published?
I was like a little kid. I thought, I jokingly said to my children, 2 years ago, I didn't even know how to spell author, and now I are one. So we all laughed about that. And my son keeps calling me and saying, "Mom, are we famous yet?" I said, "Not yet, not yet." I think at first, I think they were very hesitant. One of my daughters said, "Mom, don't talk about your children. You think that you tell funny stories about us, but we don't think they're funny. So please don't put any pictures, don't put any stories about us in your book. And I said, what the hell? It's my book. I'm going to write my own book. In fact, I told one of my daughters just a couple of days ago, she was telling me something about what I should have put in or what I shouldn't have put in. And I said, write your own darn book. You wrote mine, now you write yours. She'll get even with me if she does that, I'm sure. But I have great children. I have to admit I've been blessed. 4 wonderful children and 2 stepsons, and they've all been just really great to me and for me.
Probably supportive.
Very, very.
With all the shoulds and shouldn'ts.
Pardon?
With all the shoulds and shouldn'ts of
Oh,
what.
yes. Oh, yes. The old saying, don't should on me. We all, as a family, we all laugh a lot. We all talk a lot. And I have a daughter and her friend here visiting in North Carolina with me right now. And they're just crazy, just crazy. I don't know where they get it from, but they're crazy. They're fun. Good people.
And since we are on the fun part, I know that when people go through tough times, friends want to be friends and come up with all kinds of advices. And I would like to ask you, what was the craziest, funniest advice that you've heard, probably that bothered you, and what was the best advice that you've heard?
I think the best advice when someone is dying is just their presence in your life. I know that Al and I didn't really need any advice. We were going to cutting edge doctors. We were studying right along with every step, making sure that we were doing the right thing for his particular disease. So I think the friends that helped the most were just physical presence, ringing the doorbell and saying, hey, here's some cookies I baked, or I've got dinner coming tonight, so don't worry about cooking. And we did. We had wonderful friends and neighbors who just went the mile. I will tell you, I can laugh about it now, but I wasn't laughing then when I planned the date of the funeral. And I had several people contact me and say, could you change that date because we have theater tickets? And that just floored me. I couldn't even respond. So if anybody wants advice, never ask a widow to change the funeral date because it's really not appropriate. So we can laugh at that now.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. People always put themselves first without considering somebody else's pain, actually.
They're not thinking. And I know their hearts were in the right place. You're just an open wound at that point in your life. And anything that is said that even slightly becomes offensive, it just multiplies. All I cared about was my children's ability to be at the funeral. And it was a great funeral. I mean, all the grandchildren participated, whether they were pallbearers or sang, and it was a real tribute to my husband. Our priest said, "How many people do you think will come?" And I said, "God, maybe 100." And he told me later that there were 350 people there, and I was shocked. I thought, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, I knew a lot of people liked him, respected him, but I certainly wasn't expecting something like that. But what a tribute for him! And he was just such a understated man. He would not wanted anyone to go out of their way for him, but I know he would have been pleased.
What part did religion play in your life and spirituality?
I think what I really loved so much about Al was his goodness within his heart. He was a tough businessman, a very fair businessman, successful. He was not an actively religious man. He didn't go to church on Sunday. And that was one of the things I said to him early in our life, is that was the part of our life I didn't like, because I did like going to church on Sundays. I did like being active in my church. He always had an excuse. Well, we travel a lot. We go down to our beach house on Sundays, and, it's just not. And I kind of went along with that. But towards the end, when we were staring at death's front door, I said, now's the time we need to really think about the future. And he said, I'd like to meet your father, Jim. And I was thrilled. So I called my Episcopal priest and said, Father Jim, my husband wants to meet you, talk to you. And he had met him, but he had never spoken about religion. And they built a really lovely relationship over a bottle of bourbon in the last 2 years. He would come out and they would talk about the future. And it was good. It was good. Now, Al was not a practicing religious person, but he walked the walk, which to me was more important than going to church on Sunday, but not walking the walk during the week. He was generous beyond belief. He loved the fact that he could see I liked working with my community and doing good deeds. I can remember walking through a small little village in Europe someplace, and we passed a beggar on the street. And he handed me, I don't know, I can't remember what the bill was, but he handed it to me and he said, go back and give it to that man. He didn't need to take credit for it, but he wanted me to give it to him. And that was Al Heiler. He gave away hundreds of scholarships for students, to go to college, and he did it anonymously through his Rotary Club. He had prostate cancer, but he also had the upper right lobe of his lung removed a number of years before this other lung cancer got him. So he decided, he caught it early, so he decided that he would fund testing for veterans in our area. And he did that also through his Rotary, but also through a doctor that did the type of test that you do for this lung cancer. And a number of people were tested and found out that they did have early stage lung cancer. So that's the type of thing he did, and he did it quietly with a lot of fanfare. And I liked that. But in the end, when it was just the two of us and we knew time was wearing out, that it wasn't going to be much longer, he and I talked about it. And he said, what do you think is out there? And I said, I believe that there is life continuing in a different stage. And I said, I hope that you embrace that and believe that your first wife is going to be there for you. She was his high school sweetheart, and he loved her dearly. And I was never threatened, knowing that she was a part of our life. I didn't know her. She died before we met. But I said, I believe that there is more out there, and you can choose to go gracefully or you can go angry. But I said, I hope you'd go gracefully. And he did.
What advice would you give someone that goes through the same tough times that you did?
Well, I probably get the same advice I would give anybody going through anything that's difficult, but that is to hold steady, stay calm as you can, and make sure that you know all the facts, know where you are, where you're headed, what you need, and to surround yourself with people that you know can support you in a positive way. I think it's encouraging to be strong within your own self because ultimately you're the one steering the boat again, because that sort of says it all. You are in the boat pretty much by yourself with some guidance from the outside. But you have to know yourself and know what all the cards are so that you can go forward. Be strong.
And now that we're approaching the end, is that one question that I ask every guest. What is one activity in your life that makes you feel more alive?
Well, I do like projects, and I have to be accomplishing something pretty much all the time. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but I get a great deal of satisfaction out of painting portraits. I get a lot of satisfaction out of writing poetry. I love projects in my garden. I love it when I've done something special to my homes, whether it's to add another water fountain or a flower garden. I like projects. I like achieving things. I love working with other people who could use a supporting hand in some way. So I'm an achiever. I like doing things and getting things done. I love entertaining. So dinner parties. The joke in the family is that I can't give a party for just two people. It has to be 500 people. So, and that day will return. I'm not there now. I haven't been entertaining much at all in the last 2 years because it's just not been in me. Well, actually, I should say the last 4.5 years, the 2 years that he was dying, and the 2 years since he's gone. But it'll come back. I'm sure that there'll be a day that when I say let's let it rock.
Living life large
I do.
and full.
Yes.
Living, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you stop doing, you die. And I don't plan on dying anytime soon.
Soon, yeah.
I still have a lot of juice to squeeze out of myself. I just want to enjoy life and find new things to do. I've got a trip to Europe planned next April. And my partner and I, Bob, plan on going on that. It'll be about 3 weeks. Travel is good. Travel
Yeah,
is,
definitely. Anyways.
yeah, live life to the fullest.
So please tell our listeners where they can find your book.
Amazon. Go on Amazon and you will find it. A Widow's Fire by Diane Heiler. And I hope you enjoy it. I jokingly said to someone the other day, if you can't afford it, I'll give it to you. I just want to help you. If you need a little help in getting over a loss, I would like to be there for you. I had people who helped me, and the least I could do is to help you.
Yeah, I will definitely put the Amazon link in the description of this episode for people to find it.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank
being with us, and it was such a wonderful conversation. Our listeners, thank you for listening and for following us. And for more conversations and guests, please subscribe and follow us. We'll see you next week.